Oh my gosh, congratulations. Here's how I would prepare for an interview for medical school in only a few days from somebody who interviews applicants for my own medical school. First, make sure you take a look at your personal statement, your secondaries, anything you submitted to that school, update letters. I know that a lot of us are probably familiar with our own applications, but if it's been a while, you need to make sure that you're familiar with everything. Many interviewers who have access to your application will ask you questions about different activities you've done, and you want to be able to talk about your research, anything really fluidly. Next, no matter what type of interview you're going to, here are a few questions that I really highly recommend being prepared for. Tell me about yourself. Why medicine? Why doctor specifically and not another career in healthcare such as PA, NP, something like that? Why do you want to go to our school? And is there anything else you would like to ask me about today? Of course, there are an infinite amount of questions that they could ask you, but those are some good ones that I would really be prepared for. Now that we've got the basics out of the way, think about the type of interview you're going to. Is this a traditional interview where you're just going to be answering questions, more like the ones I just described? Or is this an MMI interview where you're going to be doing a bunch of social situations? For MMIs, do yourself a favor and go to the University of Washington ethics page. You can just Google it. They have information on ethics for pretty much every single scenario that I could think of that's going to be relevant for an MMI. Look through all the information on there, familiarize yourself with topics such as like what you would do if you have a Jehovah's Witness who needs a blood transfusion, what would you do if parents are not acting in the best interest of their child's medical care. Make sure you know the proper way to answer those situations and make sure you practice answering MMIs. Like the goal is to just focus on being equitable and understanding and non-judgmental of all sides. That's always the best way. If you have extra time, you can look up the names of your faculty interviewers if they're given to you ahead of time. Knowing what your faculty interviewer looks like, what they do, what type of doctor they are, if they're a doctor, what area they do research in, those can all help you feel more comfortable going into interview day. You definitely don't want to appear anything like a stalker, but sometimes you might find that you have something in common with someone. For example, what if you both went to the same college or something? That could be really interesting to bring up. Make sure you know where and how this interview is taking place. Check all the time zones. Make sure you have everything cleared. Is it going to be on Zoom? Is it going to be on Teams? Do you have all the links? Do you have your outfit planned out? What about your lighting situation? Is the noise level in your house or environment or wherever you're doing the virtual interview, if it is virtual, is that going to be okay? Have all that planned out ahead of time so that you don't have to worry about everything. I had a lot of virtual interviews, and the night beforehand, I always made like a little interview fact sheet. So I would write down the important parts of my own application. I would think about my answers to those 4 important questions that I mentioned earlier in this video. And then I also went into detail and did research on every single school, what I thought was interesting about the school, and made sure I had very detailed, specific questions for each interviewer, questions for the info session if I genuinely had any. And I wrote that all down on like a nice piece of paper or on my iPad so that I could have it nearby while I was doing the interview. I didn't look at notes while I was talking to any faculty members, but I thought having things sitting nearby was very helpful, and just going through all that information the day before my interview really helped it stick in my mind so that I wouldn't forget to ask any of those good questions, both to make a good impression and to learn more. Best of luck to everybody interviewing at med schools this cycle, and if you need extra practice questions, I do have a completely free ebook that you can download full of practice questions for interviews based on my own experience. You can check it out via the link in my bio, and again, good luck.